and the mission we had there, of course, with very important developments over there, starting with what we did at Chernobyl, the site, and then quite naturally my trip to Kiev and the conversations I had with President Zelensky over there. So the mission was extremely important. You may remember that I had been insisting that we are giving the opportunity to come because we had been losing some important connectivity to the site, and we also needed to have an assessment of the radiation situation on site, which was possible this time. We also had an opportunity to start delivering equipment. This time we went with quite a substantial amount of equipment as required and requested by our Ukrainian counterparts, and had exchanges we can talk about later. I can give you perhaps a few indications with some images I wanted to prepare for you to get a more clear idea of what was done. And of course we can go back to them and see whether there are any doubts or points that you would like to clarify more. So what you can see behind me is the site, the Chernobyl site. You can see over here the sarcophagus, here, you have it here, then the reactors, and then what's around it, of course, is part of the exclusion zone, which is quite vast. And what we wanted to highlight for you, and hence the ring, the white ring that you can see there, is a specific area that we wanted to go and check, because this is the zone where some excavations are, presumably or most probably made by the occupation forces during their month-long presence over there. There were other measurements, and there will be more, but this was more pressing because of the information about the possibility of extraordinary exposure to radiation and in general in the site. You can see our experts. This photo is from this morning or yesterday? Yesterday. This happened yesterday. There you can see the excavations. You can see them. And our experts who traveled with me taking the measurements. So an important aspect also of the mission, as I mentioned before, was the connectivity, our ability to have the remote monitoring capabilities that were interrupted. I had shown to you on previous occasions this table, which quite obviously, when you see red, indicate the loss of connection and information coming to us, which is absolutely indispensable because there's a lot of spent fuel over there, and we were losing these capacities. Our safeguards experts who came with me, of course, you see the two Deputy Director General here, Madame Evrard, in charge of the entire safety and security operation at the agency and this particular action, and of course Mr. Aparo, safeguards. And we went there with an antenna that we needed to replace. And you can see already, this is what, this morning, Max? This morning you can see that we are getting back the information, which is indispensable for us. And I suppose that in over the next few hours, it will look as it should, all green. This is a very important information that I would like everybody to be aware of, and it has to do with the levels of radiation that we were able to determine and identify after the first measurements that we took. This is a very simplified chart, but it gives you an order of magnitude. Anybody familiar with issues related to radio protection, dosimetry, will know that there are many units of measure and that you have many criteria against which you can have these things. But this is the truth, and this is what people should understand. What you have on the right, on the left hand side is the normal levels that you can have here in Vienna. You can see here what we were able to measure near the excavations. This is on the excavations inside these places. And as you can see, this is 3 times or more lower than the authorized levels for workers in areas exposed to radiation. So this gives you the impression, tell them I'm busy. This gives you the impression that, or the information, sorry, that of course, yes, there was an increase, but this increase is still significantly below the authorized levels for workers in an environment with this type of radiation. So with this, what do we want to say, or what I would like to transmit is, of course, there was an increase in the levels, but the situation is not one that could be judged as posing a great danger to the environment or to people at the moment that we were taking these measurements. So this is I would say the introductory information I wanted to give you so that you can have an idea of what was done, what is going to happen. But I'm sure that through your questions we will be able to explore a little bit more what was done. So I stop here and I'm open to your questions. Yes, Jordi.
Hello, Jordi from Agencia EFE. This last level of exposure for radiation you were talking about, is that in relation to the reports about Russian soldiers who were supposedly exposed to high level of exposure? Is that not possible? Is that what you're saying? Is that
well, no, what I'm saying, these are the levels we measured. These are the levels we measured. So you can extrapolate that to the hypothetical situation of people there. We have asked about possible exposures or situations. We haven't received any answer to that.
But we're talking about the red forest.
Yeah, well, in the vicinity, yes.
But there was information, I don't know who the experts were, who were saying that these soldiers were supposed to die in the next few months because of the high radiation.
We don't have any information to confirm that. And this is the situation in terms of radiation. Thank you.
Any further questions? Johannes Bleschberger for CGTN. Could you tell us the current or the latest information from the Zaporizhzhia power plant concerning ongoing warfare close to the plant, as well as the current state of the facility? Thanks.
Well, I would say Zaporizhzhia is what is at the top of my list of concerns when it comes to the situation with the nuclear facilities in Ukraine. Chernobyl was and continues to be, but as you can see, we are working. We have the place is from a radiation perspective is stable, and we are working. We are starting a number of activities with our Ukrainian counterparts. With Zaporizhzhia, the situation continues to be of concern. Why? Because, as you know, it is still under Russian control. So the Ukrainian regulator is not in control of the situation there. And there are a number of activities that need to take place, will have to take place in terms of both inspections and safeguards activities there that we will have to perform sooner rather than later, and also from a safety and security point of view. Because we need to, as you remember, on the 4th of March, there were these episodes, violence, projectile impacting a building very close to the reactor. We need to see the functionality of the safety and the safety equipment. We need to see whether there has been an impact on the physical protection of material. So there is a lot to be done there. Quite clearly, the situation in and around Zaporizhia is not only a matter of nuclear safety, security, or safeguards. It's a matter of profound political implications. And this is why I was discussing about this at some length with President Zelensky. Because everybody is aware of the fact that we have to go there, but since this place is occupied by Russian forces, there are implications in terms of what does this mean in terms of the war, in terms of the military conflict that is ongoing there. What I can tell you at this point is that our consultations continue, of course, first and foremost with Ukraine, but also with Russia. And in a few days, I will be seeing also my Russian counterparts, and will continue this discussion. You referred also in your question to some information about missiles overflying the site. We received some videos. We are checking this. We have to be 100% sure. In any case, I should say that any such development, if confirmed, would be extremely serious. I have been saying from the first day of this crisis that the physical integrity of nuclear facilities is an absolute must. And of course, a missile going astray or something like this could have a very significant impact. But we need to go back to Zaporizhia. It's extremely important. In Zaporizhia, you have tens of thousands of nuclear material, plutonium, enriched uranium, and we have to be verifying that. So it's still the open question that we have at the moment.
Sorry, DG, just I have some questions on Iran, but maybe we'll turn to that later if you have time. But just on Ukraine and on Chernobyl, just so I understand the dosage levels. I thought 20 was a cumulative level for the year, right? So if
that is the level, the authorized level that a worker could be authorized to be exposed to in a year.
In a year,
yeah.
Right. But so the 6.5 does that mean if you spent a certain amount, if you spent 3 days there, you would then reach
considerably
the 20?
No, considerably less.
Okay, so you would be safe to be at 6.5 for
and we
for
can
a couple
infer
of weeks.
that no one was there permanently. There's no, but as I said, we have put the question,
Right.
And we haven't received any answer. What you can see quite clearly from this is that the levels are there's a peak. And in fact, this is consistent with what we saw in general. You remember that when the Russians first came, there was an increase in the levels, but always, well within safe levels in general.
Right. So, because then this is also after these trenches or whatever they were would have been they were dug a little while ago. So would the level would have been a fair bit higher when they were being dug? Do you have any sense of how much higher it would have been when this was?
No, normally these are stable, and the decay is very slow, and this is why it doesn't mean that it's evaporating like this in the space of 1 week or so, and or because you are removing earth and so.
So it doesn't appear to Sorry, so there doesn't appear to have been a health risk then from these.
To have been what?
There doesn't appear to have been a risk to the health of these people who were digging these
Well,
trenches.
I would say it was not a good thing. If you start, I wouldn't recommend anybody to start excavating a place that it's known to have been, subject to high doses of radiation. There is a risk there, but as you know, this is probably a decision taken by a military or security force. I don't know under what kind of circumstances, I don't know with what kind of protective equipment. These are unknowns for us. But quite clearly, it's not a place to have a picnic or excavate. No.
Right, but I'm just trying to get a sense of, in language people can understand, like what
this
means in terms of. So you're saying it's risky, but not that risky. I mean,
it's risky. The right thing to say is that, of course, it is risky. But if you ask me whether the levels are levels that would have the kinds of consequences or assessments that were being made, well, this is the importance of having a mission like the one we had, to go with an independent verifying inspectorate, in this case, safety inspectorate, to look and see what the situation. This is the situation.
And is this pretty much what you would have expected to see? Is kind of having heard the
We
descriptions?
We didn't know, and we were our safety teams were making some inferences and calculations, which could be considered to be going in that direction. But as you know, and this is the trademark of the house, until we go, verify, measure, we don't confirm or deny anything.
Thank you. Hi, it's Stephanie Lichtenstein,
Hi, Stephanie.
freelance journalist. I wanted to ask you, you've talked now about Zaporizhia and Chernobyl, but obviously there are several other nuclear power plants in Ukraine, and I was wondering, is there anything that you are already working on now to prevent similar situations there, or what can be done?
We are working everywhere. We are working everywhere, with the exception of Zaporizhia. Although one could say that we are working there since we have some connection with the plant. But for Khmelnytsky, for Rivne, which is and for South Ukraine nuclear power plant, we have, apart from, you remember that I visited personally South Ukraine nuclear power plant, and apart from that, we are starting again our verification activities in these places, our safeguards activities in these places, which is also very, very important. And we are working on them also on some safety matters. And one of the things we also agreed is that in the course of the next few weeks and probably months, we are going to be sending more people to these places. But if you ask me today, these other facilities do not have an urgent, or there's no urgent situation there demanding an action or a reaction from us with the same degree, I would say, of priority that you could have, for example, for Zaporizhia.
Just one question on Iran, if I may. You agreed with Iran, I think it was the beginning of March, on this timetable, according to which they were supposed to have given you answers. Then 2 weeks you can ask questions, and with 1 week you were supposed to hold meetings. This time has passed and these steps have passed. Has this happened? Has this happened according to schedule?
It's happening according to schedule.
Any delays or?
No, not in the sense of the perhaps 1 or 2 days, but we are working.
Yep, that was one of the questions I was going to ask. But there's another one. You did an interview with the Associated Press while you were in Ukraine. I just want to call up your exact wording. It was about the new centrifuge parts workshop at Natanz, which in your reports you haven't said where at Natanz this workshop is. But in this interview you said they are transferring the centrifuge producing capacity to a place where they feel they are more protected. Does that mean that it's been moved underground into the FEP or the building that's there? It's underground?
Yes.
It has.
Well, they are working, they are making this. I don't know if they finished, Max, they finished the operation?
Well, they said that they're ready to operate.
Yeah, so we can.
Everything, all our monitoring system are in place, but we didn't go back.
Okay, so it's in the FEP hole then, or where?
It's one of the holes.
One of the FEP holes. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, one final question on Zaporizhia. You said you would meet with your Russian counterparts about this. Any idea when this will be?
In the next few days.
Here in Vienna?
No.
No.
We are talking about that.
Okay, thanks.
Very short follow-up about, you were saying that you are working with all these other power plants. Is there IAEA staff already going over there, or is it still remote?
People have been going, inspectors, for example?
During the war? The last few weeks? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, and we'll continue being in touch. Thank you.